Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to Chicago State University's Presidential Lecture Series. We are so delighted that you all are here with us this afternoon. As we gather here during Black History Month, we celebrate not only the rich legacy of Black enterprise and entrepreneurship, but also the thriving business leader who continue to drive economic empowerment in our communities. Today's discussion, Unlocking Success as a New Business Owner in Illinois, is a testament to the innovation, resilience, and excellence that define our CSU alumni. We are especially honored to have our very own Dean Derrick Collins of our College of Business, who will present insights from his recent research specific to Illinois' Black Business Survey. He'll be offering data-driven perspectives on the challenges and opportunities facing Black entrepreneurs in our state. And following Dean Collins's presentation, we'll hear from our esteemed panel of CSU alumni who are business owners who have turned their vision into reality and are shaping the future of commerce in Illinois. And to our alumni panel, thank you so much for being here today. We are delighted to have you and look forward to hearing from you. At Chicago State University, we are committed to equipping our students and alumni with the tools, resources, and networks needed for success. And today's event is more than a discussion. It's truly an opportunity to learn, to connect, to be inspired by our panelists. So again, thank you to Dean Collins and our alumni panelists. And thank you, all of you, for being here today. So let's get started. I'd like to start by just sharing a brief introduction to our very own Dean Collins, who has been in the leadership of Dean since 2010, which really is a testament to his commitment to Chicago State University and the very important work that is being done in our College of Business. He comes with a rich CV of work that he's done. His credentials are very impressive. But what I'd like to share that is most important to me as provost is the ways in which he is so innovative. He is one of the most thoughtful leaders that I have had the pleasure of working with. He's innovative, interdisciplinary, and always thinking about not only our students, but our community and growing our business portfolio so that we could ensure that our students are prepared for the dynamic opportunities that await them. So without further ado, I'd like to turn things over to Dean Collins, who will serve as our first presenter and then our facilitator for our panel. Dean Collins.
Thank you, Dr. Fees Price. I really appreciate the warm introduction. Good afternoon, everyone out there today. As Provost Fees Price mentioned, I'd like to share a few elements of a statewide survey that Chicago State University performed with the help of the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, as well as the Chicago Urban League. Together, we, in 2023, conducted what we believe to be the very first statewide survey of Illinois Black businesses in history. And what I'd like to do, given that we are talking to some great entrepreneurs this afternoon, I wanted to give a little bit of, just a few nuggets from that survey, not the whole thing, just a few nuggets from that survey that we found quite interesting and compelling regarding Black businesses in Illinois. The first nugget that I want to share with you is this nugget about why and motivation. One of the survey questions posed to the Black business owners in Illinois was, what motivated you to want to own your own business? Of the various options, the 5 most frequent responses were: 1, to make a difference in the community; 2, create something for the future; 3, be my own boss, which was a heavy favorite; 4, bring an idea or vision to life; 5, freedom and independence. As a follow-up question regarding his motivation, the survey allowed respondents to identify different factors that influence their response and provide brief comments. I just want to read a few of those comments because it is instructive as to how Black business owners view this question of motivation and the why. Some of the responses were, the first one, there are no Black-owned businesses in my community. Second response, I want to create jobs for all, make products in America by Americans with a good salary. Another response, I have 7 felony convictions and went to prison 3 times. Being a business owner has allowed me to completely change my life. Not only change my life, but inspire those around me. It's so many things in life I'm told I can't do because of my past. This has been the thing I can do. And the final comment I want to share with you is that was, as a Black man having a bachelor's degree and 2 associate's degrees and no criminal background, but always having a difficult time finding employment. So those are just a few of the reasons why you see a lot of Black business owners, why they go into entrepreneurship and business ownership into the first place. The other comment I want to share with you, or the other element I want to share with you, is regarding support for entrepreneurs. The survey asked about formal and informal supports for Black businesses. And so some of the responses in terms of where do they get their support or how are they supported, the top answers were mentoring from friends, family, and industry contacts, personal intuition, gut instincts, which was the second most popular response. Was very interesting. Gut instincts. Third, educational courses and workshops. 4, professional service providers. 5, the small business development centers. And 6, everything else kind of fell into that. And lastly, incubators and accelerators made up a small portion. And so what we saw is that Black businesses responded depend heavily on mentors, which is a powerful attribute that because that's in line with the kind of communal motivation of many Black business owners. However, it can be a barrier to growth. In that you may not be bringing in as much, if that's all you rely on, as much external information and professional information that you may need. What was interesting, as a person that has been involved with Black business owners in the past, in terms of providing lending, in terms of providing investments and advisory, one of the things we would like to see for most people that support Black businesses is more of a formal support in the realm of board of directors or an advisory board. This is a key item we're not going to get into today, but a key item that can really help stand up Black business owners' businesses and help them achieve the success they want to achieve. The other support that was interesting was about family support. In the survey, we found that the marital status of the respondents showed that about 45% of the folks were married, 34% with children. The interesting thing about that statistic is that according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 30% of marriageable Black people are married in the U.S. So although of Black folks in general of marriageable age, 30% are married, but the entrepreneurs, 45% were married. So entrepreneurs are over-indexing on marriage. And that's probably a combination of desire and need. And you need that family support, you need that additional support as you work what is a very, very difficult aspiration, which is entrepreneurial success. But also the desire just to have somebody along your side as you're going down that pathway. The other item I'd like to bring up is around financing. The survey inquired as to what were the primary sources of startup financing for Black businesses in Illinois. The top 3 sources were personal savings, which represented 71% of the respondents. Said that personal savings was their primary source for their funding. Second place was gifts, loans from family and friends. And then lastly, credit cards. As stated, the personal savings was the primary source of startup funding. And the reality is that's true for all entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs, the number one source for startup financing are personal savings. However, here's where it gets a little bit sticky. In that the challenge is that when it comes to personal wealth and savings, Black folks have much smaller amounts of savings to contribute to their business. The 2020 survey of the Federal Reserve System showed that the Black median wealth in this country is about $24,000. And that the median wealth of white families is $188,000. So we're talking about a large disparity in terms of being able to contribute to your own business. So that is a point where there has to be additional support mechanisms to make up that difference in order to compete on the same level. And the final item I'd like to bring up regarding the study was this whole idea of impact. One of the things that we promote and we like to promote a lot is to see more and more Black folk get into business and be successful. And the reason for that is that it improves the successful businesses, improve the communities because they hire people, they pay taxes, and they contribute to the overall health of the community. And so what was interesting about impact from the study, we see that the businesses that responded, the majority of them, 66% of the Illinois Black businesses that responded, did not have any full-time employees other than themselves. So 66% of the respondents, the owner was the only employee of the business. Of the 34% of the companies that did have full-time employees, 85% of those folks had Black employees working for their business. That's the impact we're talking about. And that's in line with some of the findings by economist Tim Bates, who is documented in his book, Banking on Black Enterprise, that 96% of Black-owned businesses located in minority neighborhoods have workforces that are at least 50% minority. And hear this, 87% of Black-owned businesses in non-minority neighborhoods, let me back up and say that again, 87% of Black-owned businesses in non-minority neighborhoods have workforces that are at least 50% minority. This is in contrast to the 38% of white-owned companies in the same neighborhoods whose workforces are at least 50% minority. So the point here is that Black entrepreneurs hire Black employees. We need to develop more Black businesses to improve the overall employment of the Black community. That's where you come in. Your communities need some of you to become business owners, build wealth, and create employment, thereby increase the tax base of communities and overall health of communities. And so that kind of segues right into our esteemed panel today, which are the real stars of this afternoon, the brave and the strategic, the entrepreneurs. So what I'd like to do is introduce the panel today that we're going to interact with regarding unlocking the success as business owners in Illinois. And the folks that are going to join us, there we go. We have this esteemed panel. I first introduce Dr. Audrey Blinstrup, who's owner of Chi-Town Mecca Fitness, Miss Spring Capers, owner of Springs Place, the hair studio, and then Mr. Cornelius Griggs, owner of GMA Construction Group. Thank you and welcome all. This is a great panel. I'm looking forward to hearing from our folks today, these great CSU alums. And I'm going to start off with the very first question being one of the questions that we had in the Illinois Black Business Survey. I really want to hear from each of you, what motivated you to own your business? And I'll start off with Dr. Blinstrup.
Okay, thank you for having me. Very happy to be here today. My first motivation was, of course, I love fitness and I'm getting older. So I wanted to make sure I was building a strong business for retirement. And as I began to think about my passion for the industry, I also consider how I can help others. And that's just we're not just talking about the actual members of the clients, but I'm talking about entrepreneurs. So my business is based on independent trainers also having a place where they can train their clients and build their independent business within my fitness facility. So that was something that was very dear to me, and part of me giving back to the community and giving back to other entrepreneurs.
Beautiful. And Dr. Blinstrup, I have to admonish myself, because I failed to ask you to introduce yourself and your business. Just give us a little quick snippet of who you are and a little bit about the business. I went right to the question and forgot to do that. It's my fault.
Okay. Oh, no problem. I think I'm supposed to discuss my degrees as well. So I have a degree in English, literature, and secondary education. And in addition, I do have a doctorate degree in educational leadership. Um, currently, I am working as a college professor, and I'm running my business, my fitness business. So I'm the manager of my business. I'm the owner of my business. I'm training clients within my business, and I'm offering memberships to people in the community on the south side of Chicago. So that's me.
You definitely need to be in shape to do all of that. So let me bring up Spring Capers, owners of Springs Palace, Springs Place, the hair studio.
I like a palace.
Change the name of your company. So give us a little bit about yourself and about the business, and then tell us, why did you want to own your business?
Thank you. So I graduated from Chicago State in '83 with a degree in accounting. And I come from a legacy of hairstylist professional. And when I graduated, I realized an entry-level accounting position would not provide my dreams and my desires. So having that legacy, I had the foundation to go out on my own, to start my own business. And I've had my salon 40 years. And so I've become a life coach, certified life coach from that, because of the experience I've had serving Black women, creating beauty inside and out. My goal and my passion is empowering and transforming lives.
Fabulous.
In that arena.
If I could just follow up, I want to just take a little bit of a moderator's prerogative, if you will. And given that you are trained in accounting, you're a small business owner, and I'm going to ask you this question: what would you suggest to folks out there listening in terms of how should they? Is there a particular software package you recommend for them to do their accounting for their business, or there a certain approach you recommend that they take as a small business owner?
Absolutely. One of my beliefs: the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. When you come from accounting, it has to add up. So you definitely, no matter whatever else your expertise, you got to deal with the numbers. So you need someone that you can have support you in figuring that out. Because without that foundation, nothing else happens. Building wealth will get away from you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
You need an accountant, or you need to go take classes to support your understanding of how numbers work for your business.
Absolutely. You have to know those numbers, and I think what we've told our students before in the past is that one of the things, you may not be the CFO, you may not be the person that's the bookkeeper, but you need to understand the numbers so that you can quickly recognize problems. You don't want to have somebody else tell you that your house is on fire, so that you be able to tell yourself. So that now brings us to Mr. Griggs. Give us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about the business, and let us know kind of why you wanted to own your own business.
Well, I'm Cornelius Griggs. I'm the president and CEO of GMA Construction Group. We are a $200+ million construction company. We operate in Chicago, Dallas, New York, Charlottesville, Virginia, and Charlotte, North Carolina. I started the business in 2009. I graduated from Chicago State University in 2005, and then later went and got a engineering master's degree from the Illinois Institute of Technology, and then after that went to Northwestern and got an executive management degree in design and construction. So my background for the last 23 years now has been in construction management, 14 years in the military, and then working for two large corporations, one in DC and one in Chicago, before starting my own business. I think primarily the reason why I left corporate America to start my own construction company was one, I wanted to build in communities that I grew up in. I'm from the Cabrini Green and the North Lawndale communities on the west side and near north side of Chicago. So I wanted to focus on building in those communities, and the companies that I worked for at the time were more focused on building in in the downtown and north side communities. Secondly, I wanted to build affordable housing, healthcare, and education facilities within those communities. Those are the things that lacked in the areas that I grew up in. So our firm, our three pillars of our organization is affordable housing, healthcare, and education. And that's kind of what we focus on.
Fabulous. I'd love to follow up with you on another question, as well as later on learn a little bit more about your dealings in Dallas. I'm originally from Dallas, grew up in the Oak Cliff neighborhood. In addition to what you're doing in Chicago, we'd love to learn more about what you're doing in Dallas. But the other question I wanted to ask you, Mr. Griggs, was that in terms of when you started your business, you got into the business, what was your biggest surprise when you began the business, and how did you navigate that?
Well, I think when I started in the industry, there weren't a lot of people in construction that looked like me. And I think that most folks think about construction being a guy with a tool belt and hammer and nails. They don't think about the folks who are behind the scenes, the lawyers, the accountants, the project managers, the marketing folks who all do the work to help get the project actually built. And that's what I wanted to focus on. And in those rooms, there were, very, very rarely were there any people, a person of color in that room, let alone a Black woman or Black man. So that is really what inspired me to, pursue that career field and then ultimately start my business. There are very few minority general contractors across the country of any real size and scale. So to have a firm that has the bonding capacity to do projects upwards of $200 million is a big deal in across the country.
Beautiful. I'm going to go to Ms. Capers. When you began your business, what was your biggest surprise when you went into business for yourself?
My biggest surprise, I never forget, was I think I heard something at a lecture or something, and someone said took like 25 years before their business was, that real meat on the bones kind of business. I was like, what? 25 years? And I was young, and time was like right then and there for me. So just appreciating being here 40 years and looking back and understanding what that meant now. But at that time, it was daunting to think.
How true did you find that statement to be over the years? How did?
Very, very true. Very true. In our industry, which is, I take pride that we were probably a backbone for most Black-owned business in our culture, in the hair business, but appreciating building wealth and the time it took, laying those bricks little by little, building the reputation of my business, building stylists, acquiring assets with that money. So it's in retrospect that I look back and say, yeah, that's a true statement. I don't know how you can tell someone that easily.
Yes.
But that is true. It takes time.
It takes time. It does take time. And Dr. Blenstrup, when you got into actually creating and running your business with Chi-Town Mecca Fitness, what was the biggest surprise for you?
So for me, it has a lot to do with people paying their memberships. So I've had memberships to gyms my entire life. So I thought people treated their memberships like I treat my memberships. So learning about the different characters, learning about how people handle their money, how they handle their bills, how they're on time, not on time. That was a surprise to me because, again, I thought people treated theirs the way I treated mine. So that was a surprise that I'm navigating and working on. But some of that is external factors that I cannot control. So I control what I can, and still trying to navigate that and work with those who are struggling with keeping those monthly membership payments.
Understand. And as well, just follow up with that. In addition to that surprise, just a complimentary to that surprise when you got in business. What were some of the biggest challenges you had as a business owner once you got into the groove of running the business, get things going over time, what did you find is the biggest challenge?
Yeah, so I think we all probably can give you quite a few of those, but for the sake of time, I would say my challenge probably came right after my grand opening, and it has been happening monthly. And that challenge is when you're planning your business, you have money for reserve. You have reserve money in case there's something that pops up. Even though you don't know what that something can possibly be, you have reserve money. You can never have enough reserve money. For me, what popped up was the plumbing system of the building.
Whoa.
And that became a challenge. So right at the same time of my grand opening, the ladies' bathroom went out. The plumbing was clogged, and the building had been abandoned, I want to say, for probably 7 years or something like that. So it was, I didn't see that coming. And so it became a challenge because now I got to figure out what's the problem. We got to get someone there to look at the piping. The design of the piping is outdated. They don't design piping that way anymore. So I inherit this building that way. And that challenge was costing me over $1,000 every single month, trying to unclog, trying to figure it out. I think we finally got the right plumbing system service there to help us with it. But that was my biggest challenge. And that was the thorn in my side that I really was not expecting.
I can imagine. I think in general, I think Murphy's Law just rides with entrepreneurs. It just stays around entrepreneurs all the time. Ms. Capers, what was the biggest challenges that you faced as a young business owner?
Well, you touched on it when you gave the survey. It's the multiple hats you have to wear. You spoke about most Black businesses, it's a one-man shop, right?
Yeah.
And so you are everything. And I understand having a hair salon, what Audrey had to go through. I know how plumbing issues, electrical issues, IT, I can do the IT, I can do everything. Name it. I can look at construction, and I have built 4 salons from the ground up. So you are everything. I am marketing, I am business, I'm an accountant. I'm the CFO, the CEO. I know law stuff, everything. You have to really be your everything for your business. And back then, much harder, much now is a lot easier. It's so much resources that you can access that you didn't have before.
Gotcha. And Mr. Griggs, you run a $200 million construction firm, right? So I'm assuming you had no problems. You just handed it off, delegated it to somebody that took care of it, right?
Well, it's that it may be that way today, but it definitely wasn't that way when I started the business. And I think, both of my counterparts here who are on the call, we start out, doing everything, right? So when I started my business in 2009, it was me and 2 of my former students who worked with me to start the business. And I did everything. I was a CFO, I was a CEO, I was a janitor. If I needed to be that, I answered the phones. I wrote the checks, before I had a QuickBooks system, writing checks. So you just figured it out as you grew the business. I think the key, for me was gaining that access to capital. I think someone mentioned that earlier, is, having access to capital is extremely important. I mean, most of us started our businesses with whatever capital investment that we had when we put into the business. And then you grow that business and you pick up sales, and the goal is that people pay you on time. And if they pay you on time, you can pay your bills. But if you want to scale your business, you need to have access to real capital. And it was developing a business and a business plan that worked, and then pitching that business plan to banks to get them to believe in my vision and my dream, and then give us that access to capital that we needed to expand. Once that happened, the skies were the limit. We were able to expand our operations into Dallas and in New York and in North Carolina and Charlottesville. And we've continued to see that expansion because we have the capital investment to do so.
That is always the challenge, getting the right capital. What I'm starting to hear a theme here is that it sounds like entrepreneurship is hard. I thought it was glamorous and, easy and sexy, but sound like some real work involved here.
Well,
Sorry.
Yes, definitely. There's real work involved. I think there is a glamour to it, to the people who see it from the outside, right? They only see you when you show up for that moment or that minute, and they don't understand the work, that the 23 hours of other work that goes into the 1 hour of show up time. And I say 23 hours because, as I'm sure my counterparts would say, we're working when we're sleeping. Our brains are always going. We're always thinking about, what the next day is going to bring. So it's never a clock out time for us.
Right. And, we tell our students that, entrepreneurship is one of the hardest things you ever do in life. If you want to do something easy, you probably should become a surgeon or a pilot, because everything is scripted. You just do what you're supposed to do and success. Right. Where entrepreneurship, you get thrown curveballs like, the ladies' room not working. So you have to be able to, on the fly, make things happen. And in helping you, we want to ask each of you about mentorship. Ms. Capers, do you have a mentor, have used mentors in the past? And if so, how did they help you?
When I first started, I had other salon owners that were veteran salon owners that was willing to share with me at the time. We all have a less formal industry. Mm-hmm. So having those stylists help me, but my greatest mentorship were the people in my chair. I service, name it, every professional woman you could have possibly imagined. So I got lesson upon lesson on life, on business, on everything from my chair. And that supported me a lot in my business.
I can see that. I know my barber and I, we've been together for a long time, and we talk, of course, sports, but we also talk all manner of stuff, his business, politics, other things. So I can see that. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Dr. Benstrup, any mentors in your past you utilized?
So my business is very unique. There aren't many like my business in Chicago because I am a private fitness facility with memberships, but I'm also a facility that allows trainers to build their businesses. And I wanted to, part of the reason I don't have a mentorship, because only big box gyms do that. Only big box gyms have trainers inside of them. They're not independent trainers, but big box gyms have trainers. So I really did not have someone who did what I'm doing right now to talk to or consult with, not in the Chicago area, perhaps in the suburbs, but not in the Chicago area. And then when I think about a mentor, I also think about someone I trust to give me sound advice, because everyone thinks they know your business. Everyone has something to say about what you should be doing. So some of that goes in one ear and out the other ear, because just like Spring, I have members who try to help me and assist me too. We just have to know what to listen to and what not to listen to, because we're living the moment of the business. So I didn't have anyone, but just kind of adding to your second question on here that talked about beyond mentorship, I have a board that I consult with. And that board consists of people I trust. It consists of people who have skill level, that I don't have. So I know accounting, but I need someone who knows accounting better than me. Someone who understands law, someone who understands different things. So my board consists of people of a variety of skill and talent that I work with and consult with when I'm thinking about making a decision with the business.
That's beautiful. I mean, a lot of small business owners shy away from bringing in boards, I think, because of having that external feedback. It can be intimidating sometimes, but I think, as you pointed out, if you take that information in, it can be very helpful to you. Mr. Griggs, mentors or boards or folks that have helped you in the past?
Yeah, I think, our business, albeit construction is a commodity, but the business of general contracting and construction management from a minority perspective is very slim. And although I didn't have a specific mentor, I do have a board of advisors that now works with our organization to really help guide us in the direction that we want to go and help us accomplish our 2030 business plan. But there have been many people throughout my career that have provided me with, advice, guidance, tutelage to help me get to where I am today. I definitely didn't do this on my own, but to say that I had a business mentor from day one, no, I didn't have that, but I had this ecosystem of people that were around me that were always rooting and encouraging me to give it a shot and really go for it.
If you had to take that advice from your board members or your advisory board members or those other mentors that you've had over the years, if you said, of the advice I received from those individuals, what percentage of that advice would I have found in a textbook or a magazine article versus that person? What would you think that percentage is?
I would tell you that 0% of that I would have found in a textbook. I get folks I interview, we interview folks, my recruiting team interviews, kids who come out of college and they have a ton of, they're from amazing universities and they have a ton of what I like to call book sense. And they have no real business or street sense. So it takes a real combination of the two. And my advisory board is really there to help me with the street sense, the business sense, right? They're not there to be technical advisors of my business. They're there to help us navigate our way through kind of that unknown, right? They're there to help us avoid the potholes that many of them have already seen because they have either been in business themselves or were in business themselves for a number of years, or they were executives in our business and they understand what it takes to scale a business from 100 million to 200 million to 500 million. And because that's our track, you want to have people there to advise you on how to get there. I always tell my folks, every year I get to be the CEO of a new company because I've never been the CEO of a $200 million company. So this year I get to be the CEO of a $200 million company. And God willing, next year I'll be the CEO of a $300 million company. So my advisors are there to help me and my executive team get prepared to be the CEOs and executives of a $300 to $400 million company.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that mentorship and that advice is critical. I mean, it's one thing to read a book about boxing. It's another thing to get in the ring. And so the mentorship help you avoid those hits.
As Mike Tyson would say, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly. Ms. Capers, you have a long-standing successful business operation, and you can't get there without having some real quality and results in your organization. What's your secret sauce to support your business achievement and high quality results?
I have 2 or 3. One, I created stylists. I love hearing RG talking about her independent trainers. That was the bulk of my business. Like, I'm a hairstylist. I can only do so many heads. So actually, when I first started doing hair, I did 100 heads a week. And I had 2, 3 assistants that worked with me that I in turn made them stylists. And they fed off of my plate. They grew my business. So, and I always tell stylists or salon owners, they were like, how can I improve? I say, if you can't, create a stylist, then your own business. You have to be able to create another stylist. My other piece is retention. I have 40-year-old clients. I've had clients that I've been doing their hair for 40 years. I have multiple generational. I've done your grandmother, your mother, your child, you, for births, weddings, everything. And then my other piece, of course, I'm an accounting major, and it's a cash business back in the day. But one thing I knew, probably different than most hairstylists, what was my net worth? I get a pocket full of money. I was like, oh my God, what I got at the end of the day? I got a Gucci bag, I got a cute car. And so I think within 2 years of owning my salon, I bought property. And then after that, it took me about 15 years, but I bought the property my salon is in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the game changer. My my banker told me that most of the commercial property in Chinatown are commercial condos. They get it.
Mm-hmm.
They get the
Mhm.
build the wealth.
Yes.
So, like I say, the numbers always are my driver, you know, and it's at the end of the day, it's not how much money you make, it's how much you have at the end of it.
There you go. There you go. Dr. Blenstrup, what's your secret sauce to success?
Well, I am a new business, so I'm in year 2, and I hoped by year 4, I would probably be at 1% of what Mr. Griggs is making. So what I focus on right now is, first of all, having patience to build a business. I think that when you start a business, you have to know that it's going to take time. I think many people go in wanting to rush the wealth. They want it very quickly, and they're not financially prepared to sit and grow the business with the patience that's needed, in the work that's needed, the marketing that's needed, the time that's needed, knowing that you're probably not going to get paid right now, because you got to pay other people to continue to grow your business. So my secret sauce is making sure that I have patience to let my business grow. And I'm really huge on culture and climate. Huge on culture and climate as an educator, huge on culture and climate in my business also. So making sure that the Google reviews are saying what a pleasant place, what a welcoming place, what a clean place, nice people, the front desk is nice. That's what makes people want to continue to return. So trying to make sure that I'm providing a safe place that is welcoming and friendly, and definitely based on skill, having the skill to service people, in hopes of making sure that there's repeat business. And so far, we're doing pretty good. We're in that right direction, but staying in that direction with the right staff is very, very important. And it's work on my end. So I believe in modeling my expectations for everyone. So working the front desk, being just as friendly, cleaning the bathroom, sweeping the floor, vacuuming, and doing everything else. So modeling and making sure that my building is very, very welcoming.
$1 million firm, what's the secret?
I think, it changes, kind of every 4 or 5 years, at least in my business. But what I've learned is that I take the ego out of it, and I want to hire people, very, very smart people who can advise me on what to do, not for me to tell them what to do. And I think when in our business that's heavy on technical experience, engineering, architecture, development, and design, you want to have folks who are smarter than you in the areas of expertise in which you have hired them. And my job is really to guide them and provide them with top level leadership. My grandfather used to often say, I take anyone with AQ, ambition quota, over someone with IQ, intelligence quota. So I live my life as I've always done, even when I was in college, being someone who had a lot of ambition and was willing to. I may not have always been the smartest person in the room, but I was darn well going to be the hardest working person in the room. And I think that's what's gotten me to where I am today. And now at 44 years old, I try to make sure that I am continuing to be the hardest working person in the room, but I want to hire the smartest people to advise me and our business on where we need to go.
Thank you. I think at this point, I think we're going to transition to, we may have some audience questions that we'd like to pose to the panel. I think that's right. And while they are queuing up the questions from the audience, I have one final question for each of you, and that is, you are successful business owners. Dr. Blenstrup is is the new person on the block heading on that trajectory of success. As you go on that path, how do you help other small business owners as you go along that path? How do you provide assistance to your fellow entrepreneurs coming along? I saw you, Mr. Griggs, and we'll go to Ms. Capers after that.
Well, in our business, we have a center we call the Cube. It's the Center for Urban Business and Excellence, and through that organization, we are providing small business mentorship in design, construction, and development. So we're taking minority and women-owned businesses, putting them through our boot camp and getting them geared up to go perform on larger contracts, larger public contracts. I always say that whenever the government wants to infuse the economy, where's the first place they put money? They put money into infrastructure, right? You hear it all the time. The mayor of Chicago is trying to get a $830 million bond deal passed for infrastructure, right? So infrastructure is something that we all need, but there also has to be businesses to support that infrastructure. So what we try to do through our Center for Urban Business and Excellence is to help people start their businesses, operate their businesses so that they can then go perform on those infrastructure-based projects.
Beautiful, thank you. Dr. Blenstrup, I know you early in the entrepreneurial trajectory, but as you go forward, how do you also support your fellow entrepreneurs?
Well, my biggest support is with my trainers in my facility, with making sure any questions they have in terms of training and strategies and how to work with various different types of clients that I'm out actually coaching and mentoring them in that area. I have a lot of my members who own their own businesses. So I allow them space in the gym to set up and to set their items up in order to share with other people. The members there, I have a board that I use just for small businesses of my members, and not just my members. I shouldn't just say that. It's the community also, because they come in and they put things on the board to help support their businesses as well. So at this point, that's what I'm doing. I go out to different events in the community to not just showcase Chi-Town Mecca, but to show that I'm a part of the community and that my facility is a part of the community, and we're there to help support the community. So that's where we are at this point.
Fantastic. And Ms. Capers, how do you provide support to other business owners?
Life coaching.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, we couldn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said a couple of years ago, I did an intensive program in coaching, executive coaching and life coaching. And I stay in contact with my stylists that I've trained over 20 to 30 stylists. So I stay in contact with them. I do one-on-one, I do group coaching with them to help them navigate, the business as it evolves and change.
And we have a couple of questions. I'll start with you, Ms. Capers, since we are there. And one of the questions that comes up is, how do you balance your business with your life? Do you get any days off? How do you make that work-life balance work for you?
Yeah, that is a huge part of my my life, is to create life balance. Being my own boss, that's a lot of freedom, and with freedom comes responsibility. So I even tell my retirees, I still structure my day. I set my goals and I shut off. I shut off Saturday, and then I give myself at least 36 hours to myself, not taking a call. So doing mind, body, spirit. I work out 4 to 5 times a week, because my health is my wealth. So that if I'm not fueled, I cannot give to my business. So it is scheduled. Like actually right now I'm in Colorado. I'm going to go skiing soon. I get off this panel. So I believe in work-life balance, truly.
Beautiful. Dr. Blenstrup, how do you make that work-life balance, especially when you have, several commitments and responsibilities?
I'm doing poorly. It's not working very well. And I recognize that. And I feel that as a new business, I have to do what it takes. And so I'm not going to say I don't try to take a few days here or there, and I do try to pre-plan it. There are some days that I just need to shut down and say not today. But I'm just not there yet. And I think that's one of the things that we have to realize when we start in the business. In order to make it work, you have to be present, and you have to be present in more than one way. And being physically present is just one of those ways. So right now, I'm still working on it, but I'm going to be like spring one day.
Beautiful. And Mr. Griggs, you have operations that spread from the Midwest to the South. How do you make that work-life balance work for you?
Well, I think, for me, what I've always tried to do is make sure that my work and my life are kind of all meshed together. They all become one. I love what I do, so I don't consider it, the traditional work. And so it allows me to, whether I'm sitting at home on a Sunday watching a football game, I may have my laptop in front of me, getting some things done. It's understanding that if I am trying to build, something that hasn't been built before, and also leave something behind for, my daughter who's 21 years old and my son who's 17, leaving them something that they can hopefully be able to stake claim to. It's going to take quite a bit of work because I didn't have someone build it for me prior to, me. Most of my counterparts have had businesses that have been passed down to them from generations. So I look at it as all a part of life. Of course, you got to work out. I do that every morning. I try to find, that time where I can get away, but I don't think I ever turn it off 100% because it's life, so it's always going to be there. I'm the leader of it. Nobody's going to believe in my vision more than me. So I always have to make myself available to it.
Great. And we have one, question. I think time for one more question from the audience. And it is a question about the turning point. And the question is, was there a turning point in your business that catapulted to a higher than expected level? What was that turning point that either catapulted to a higher level or gave you confidence that I'm on the right path? This is really going to make a difference, or a game changer, if you will. What was that game changing turning point in your business? Mr. Griggs, what was that point for you?
Well, I always say that, business is like a game of baseball. Baseball is kind of one of those only sports where you could strike out 7 out of 10 times and still be a 300 hitter, So that's what business is. It's how many times can I get at bat, and how many times can I get on base? How many runs can I bring in, and how many home runs and grand slams can I get? And I think the grand slams are what really help catapult your business to the next level. For us, it was certain projects. When we started the business, we were doing, 1 to 5 million in revenue, a little over 10 years ago. And every, 3 or 4 years, I always like to say we get that home run. We're living in a home run, right now. We just landed our single largest construction project to date, which is in the old Cabrini Green neighborhood where I grew up. 99 units of affordable housing, a $52.1 million construction project that's going to change that neighborhood. But that's a home run for us. That's what's going to take us from, the $150 million company to the $250 million company. Those type of wins are what help catapult you to the next level so that you can participate at a different cap structure.
Fantastic. And Dr. Blindstrom, we know that you're in the second year, but the reality is most entrepreneurs don't make it to the second year. So that's success. So what was that turning point, or that aha moment that you knew you were on the right track?
Well, my business plan had a projected number based on, each year. And based on my 3-year projection, I hit that number in about 13 months. And so I was very surprised. So it's like, okay, now what's next? Does it slow down from here? Does it keep growing? So, because I'm going through the seasons. So you go through the seasons of your business and you see what each season brings you. Now you're going through the second season and you're looking and you're watching your data, you're watching your trends, and you're trying to compare everything. So I'm still learning, but that's when I knew that I was on to something really good in the city of Chicago when I hit my projection in 13 months that I had for 3 years.
Thank you. And Ms. Capers, what was that turning point? What was that aha?
I believe the aha for me, because my business is my salon, but I am part of a unit. I have a husband, I have children. So was building our wealth together, whether it was through the salon or through property. And the turning point was one I mentioned earlier when I purchased the property for my salon. That was a game changer. Like just looking on your books from paying a rent to putting in equity, that money going into equity for your own ownership. That made everything different. And you operated your business different. When I knew I was going to gut out a part of the building, that was my building. That was I wasn't improving someone else's property. And then when the dreams that we were trying to obtain and we had done the work and we saw them come to fruition, whether it was in my children being successful, my husband being successful in my business, and we could sit back and say, hey, we met the mark. And the other thing is facing an obstacle that the plan B worked. You had something to catch you because you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall at some point. Something's gonna hit you. But to be able to sustain that hit is also the point for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And let me thank all of you. I find that Black business owners, they are my heroes and sheroes because you go into a game knowing that the refs aren't always as fair as they should be. You know that you're not going to get the calls you should get, and you know it's going to be a struggle, but you're willing to put in the work, make it happen, and still come out successful. So you're my heroes and sheroes. We thank you so much for joining us today and showing not only the resilience of what you do individually, but the resilience of Chicago State folks, Chicago State alums in general. So really thank you again for joining us today. We have one final presenter today. Is Dr. Richard Glass. And Dr. Richard Glass is from the CSU's class of 98. He has a few final words for you today. He joins us today as the vice chair of our Alumni Association Board at Chicago State. He's a lifelong educator. He currently serves as the regional vice president of Center Operations for Ombudsman Chicago High Schools. The positions followed a long career in education, including leadership roles in the Legacy Charter School, Urban Prep Academy, Stephen F. Gladwell Academy, just to name a few. And he's also a business owner. He's the founder and CEO of Reimagine Schools, LLC, where he aims to help schools improve the educational experience of students of color through innovative and culturally relevant programming. Thank you, Dr. Glass, for being here today. Please enlighten us and please take us home.